Hey guys, my name's Austin. I'm going to be doing my Citizen Nation speech for you today. My speech is going to be on global warming, and I've heard a lot of your speeches already. I know that they were on global warming also, so I thought that was awesome. I hope you guys can really connect to this speech and hopefully take something from it. Um, so basically, the point is that the climate is changing rapidly, and we need to do something about it before we face horrible consequences. It's up to all of us to make changes in our lives to combat climate change and save our environment. A common misconception is that you need to make major lifestyle changes in order to fight climate change. And while this would obviously be very effective, many of us just aren't willing to give up luxuries that simply make life easier. So, what I'm here to do today is to give everybody a few different methods to lower their carbon footprint and help combat climate change without having to make extreme sacrifices. So, something that all of us use every day is transportation. Most of us have cars. So, a big thing that you could do to lower your carbon footprint would be to try, when possible, to use alternative modes of transportation. What I'm talking about when I bring up alternative transportation is walking, running, riding your bike. There's public transportation, so buses, um, the sprinter or the train. And then another really good alternative, it's not really an alternative, but carpooling would be a huge thing that we could all do to help lower our carbon footprint. Um, Running and walking. So if you have a friend nearby, or maybe school or work is close to home for you, try on occasion, maybe once a week, to walk to that location instead of drive there. You'd be doing a great deal for lowering your carbon footprint as well as help saving our environment, and you'd probably save yourself a couple bucks in gas. Plus, it feels great to get outside and walk around, gets the blood flowing, and I really recommend it. Same with riding a bike. And then transportation is huge. If you have somebody that, I mean, not transportation, carpooling is huge. If you have somebody that you go to school with or to work with that lives nearby, ask if you could carpool. Offer to give them a ride, or ask them if you could get a ride every now and again. And that would be doing a huge part to lower your carbon footprint. According to the World Resources Institute, transportation makes up roughly 15% of global climate pollution. Sorry. So even though it's not a huge number, 15% is a good amount, and anything you can do to reduce your carbon footprint by the means of transportation would be huge. So the second thing that I'm going to talk about today is energy efficiency. One thing that most people think of and that you could definitely do is just updating appliances. You'll see tons of appliances when you go to the store that say energy efficient. They have like the star on it. So you can update any appliances you have to be more energy efficient, which in the long run is going to save you money on your electric bill. Light bulbs also, updating any bulbs to LED. Those are more energy efficient as well. Um, that's a little on the pricey side though, so I'm going to talk to you now about something that you could do that you wouldn't have to spend any money on. There's a term that people use called energy vampires, and what this is referring to is any uh, technology you have, any, let's say your phone charger, your laptop, your coffee maker, your toaster, anything like that that's plugged in but you don't necessarily use all the time, try and unplug those whenever they're not being used. Like for your phone charger, for example, don't just leave it plugged in next to your bed, just sitting there all day and all night. Just unplug it when you're done charging your phone, and then plug it back in when you need to charge your phone again. Leave it like right there, but just don't leave it plugged in, and that'll actually reduce, or that will increase your energy efficiency and reduce your energy output, because even though you're not using your phone charger, if it's plugged in, it still uses energy. According to directenergy.com, you can save close to $200 a year on electricity by simply unplugging items when you finish using them. $200 a year. That's awesome. I've started doing this myself, and I highly recommend it to all of you as well. SDG&E also has a new time of use plan that I really suggest that you look into. They have two time slots called off-peak and on-peak hours. Basically, between 4 and 9 p.m. is when the most energy is being used. And if you can limit your energy use during that time, you can actually get rewards and save a ton of money. Not a ton, but you'll save money for sure. So I recommend looking into that. And then the last thing that I want to talk about today is diet. I know this may be a hard pill to swallow for some, myself especially included, but according to research published in the Climate Change Journal, if every American swapped in beans for conventionally raised meat once a week for a year, it would be the equivalent of taking 16 million cars off of the road annually. So let me just say that one more time. If every single American was to replace meat with beans as their protein just once a week for a year, it would be the same as taking 16 million cars off of the road for that year. That is absolutely huge, and it's a very small sacrifice, I believe personally, just once a week instead of having that burger or steak or whatever it might be. Substitute your protein for beans. Not only will you be saving yourself a couple bucks, but you'll be doing a great deal for the environment. And that's the goal, is just to try and help the environment in whatever way we can without making huge sacrifices to our life. So once a week, really think about and try to follow through with that, because you'll be doing a huge part in lowering your carbon footprint. EatingWell.com explains that America wastes roughly 250 pounds per person annually, and that 18% of all methane emissions in the United States come from food rotting in landfills. So, along with possibly substituting beans for meat one day a week, really try and use as much of the stuff that you get. Don't be wasteful. Don't be throwing a ton of food away. And if you do have a bunch of stuff that needs to be thrown away, consider composting instead, because 18% of methane emissions come from rotting food in landfills. So that's pretty much it. Those are the tips that I have for you guys. I hope you've learned something new about ways to lower your carbon footprint without making a huge impact. And yeah, thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a great night.